Good morning and welcome to Community Church of Chapel Hill, Unitarian Universalist. Testing. Nothing at all? Okay.
Practice for me because I'm going to go warm up.
Pardon?
I'm going to go warm up in the Australia room.
Okay.
Yeah, Chris Rosser is the statistical writer.
That's all.
There's a view from up here you can't get from the valley below, where the milk with the town and the rivers run dry. No one has tears left to cry. No one has tears left to cry. I've twisted, turned, and I've run. I've done things for which I'm ashamed. Once a maker of kings, now a pawn in a game. Another sun drops in the western sky, and I turn to face coming of the night. It's a long road ahead till the daylight arrives. I've no tears left to cry. I've no tears left to cry. When the morning breaks, I'll be whole again. The cracks in my soul patched with gold. There's a taste on my tongue of good things to come. Moving on, I'll be traveling light. Moving on, I'll be traveling. take mine off so I can hear better. Yeah. Ooh, ain't dum 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 dum.
Good morning. Welcome to the Community Church of Chapel Hill, Unitarian Universalist. I'm Kathy Putnam, and I'm a member of the Worship Associates Ministry here at the church. Whoever you are, whomever you love, however you arrived at this beloved place, you are welcome here. I especially want to welcome any newcomers or visitors to our church this morning and call your attention, there's a special note for you. Welcome guests and newcomers on the back of the order of service. For those attending online, links to the order of service and today's hymns are provided in this morning's email. A few things to keep in mind this morning. As a reminder, we are masking inside on Sunday mornings and in the outdoor children's spaces as a way of striving to be an inclusive community. Regardless of changes in masking policies locally, we will continue our masking policies until further communication from the church staff. After the service, we invite you to gather in the courtyard or in our other gathering areas. The courtyard is just outside the main entrance. It's a mask optional space, and we'll have a cart with coffee and tea available. The other gathering area is behind the Jones Building and includes the porch, grassy area, and playground. Masking is mandatory in this and all our other indoor spaces except the courtyard. To build community and connection, Rachel Rose and the Welcoming Committee invite you to gather in the courtyard at 11:30 a.m. for an in-person Sunday social, or join online small group social at 12 o'clock noon. You'll find the Zoom link for the online social in this morning's email. And now please turn off or silence any cell phones during our service to maintain a worshipful experience.
Our first hymn this morning is number 354, We Laugh, We Cry. And I chose it for a couple of reasons. One is it's got in the first verse this line about finding a place, needing to find a place to which we can belong, and belonging is the theme of this morning. The other reason that I chose it is that I've been working over the past several weeks on plans for the memorial service for Reverend Charlie Cast, and it was his wish that this song be sung at his memorial service, which will be August 20th. And so I wanted to give us a chance to practice it together and really feel it today, so that when we sing it again in a couple of weeks, we can really sing it out for Charlie. So I invite you to rise in body or in spirit as we sing our first hymn this morning, number 354.
To put an end to all waste of you. blessed peace of mind. And then we come together here to make sense of what we find. And we believe in life and in the strength of love. And we have found the joy to be together. And in our search for peace, may we finally see, even to question truly is an answer.
When Tom told the worship ministry that he was planning a service about belonging, I thought, what synchronicity. I belong to a memoir writing group, and just last week I'd written a reflection on belonging and being part of a community. Here's how I ended the essay. Feeling like I belong to a community has been critical to my sense of well-being. I believe we all have a need to belong. When there was a community nearby and I was able to access it, I flourished. When I didn't have a community, either because one wasn't available or I didn't have the skills or courage to access it, I felt alone and sometimes depressed. When I first moved to Chapel Hill, I knew no one but my husband and young child, and would often put Matthew in a stroller and take a walk. On one of my walks through the neighborhood, a woman waved, said hello, and invited us to come to the porch so she could meet us. And a stranger became my neighbor. Later, I was part of a circle of young mothers and found a church family of the Church of Reconciliation. That neighbor and those groups were vital to my well-being and helped me become a better parent and a better person. I'm grateful to the individuals, strangers, neighbors, other mothers, and church members who reached out and invited me into their circle. Come this morning as we think of those times in our lives when we've felt belonging, when we've been welcomed into the circle. Come this morning as we learn how to create more belonging in our lives and in the world. Come, let us worship together. You'll find the words to our chalice lighting in your order of service. If you wish to do so, please join me in reading them. May this flame we light remind us that every one of us can bring the light of love to the world. May this clear flame be a symbol that every heart can burn bright with joy, peace, and harmony. May the wisdom of the ages speak to us through this flame and stay with us. Every one of us can be a blessing to the world.
Sacred spaces we are making when we gather and we sing round a campfire in a street choir. Join the circle, let it ring. Ain't that song amazing grace? The sanctuary we create. Bring your troubles, tell your stories, pass the old guitar around. Making noises, make it joyous. Listen for that holy sound. Ain't that some amazing grace, the sanctuary we create. Dr. Wayo, see you say, oh, Dr. Wayo, say, Dr. Wayo, see you say, oh, Dr. Wayo, say. Feel your heartbeat, there's a rhythm, there is music all around. Find another sister, brother, make a stand on holy ground. Ain't that some amazing grace? Sanctuary we create. Dr. Wayo, see you say, oh, Dr. Wayo, say. Dr. Wayo, see you say, oh, Dr. Wayo, say. Ain't that some amazing grace? Sanctuary we create.
Each week in our service, we share a time for sharing the joys and the sorrows that we bring with us into this beloved community. During this time, if you've come with either a significant personal joy or personal sorrow that you wish to share, you're invited to come forward, place a stone in the bowl, say your name, and speak in a few sentences your joy or your sorrow. Let us enter into this time of trust. Are there any joys and sorrows this morning?
Hello, my name is Maria, and I'd like you all to keep my son, Kai, in your thoughts as he and his friend John pilot their small plane across the country. They are now in Billings, Montana, and he got his pilot's license within the last year, and it's all very exciting and a little bit nerve-wracking.
Hi, I'm Susan Heyman, and this is my husband, Mark Silling. And we are delighted to share a joy with you today that we have our three grandchildren from Colorado with us, and we have had a wonderful time with them. And it's such a joy to have them.
It's really been great. And we've got lots of ping pong in, and Zach even...
My name is Maureen O'Rourke, and I want you to keep my friend Molly in your thoughts and prayers. Molly's going to be going through radiation, and I hope she does well. Thank you.
Yeah, good morning. My name is Eric Bannon, and I haven't been here in like 2 months. I've been traveling. I've been in Europe. I got COVID in Italy, which is not a good thing. And then I've been at camps and teaching and learning, and it's so great to be back in my home church. Thank you.
I'm Rachel Force. I think the last time I saw most of you, I kind of melted down in my sorrows of my ex-husband remarrying and losing my job and et cetera, et cetera. So thank you so much for all of the cards and the emails and the notes. And I felt so loved and held up by you all. And they survived the wedding. They came back with COVID. I know, right? My joy, though, is that right, if I had not lost my job, I would have had to lose my job anyway, because I had 2 children who had COVID, and we've been sick for the last 3 weeks, and now we're fine. So negative, obviously, I wouldn't be here otherwise. So thank you again.
Placed a final stone this morning for all those joys and sorrows that we hold in our hearts that were not spoken. Won't you join with me in the spirit of prayer and meditation? Spirit of life, source of our being and our becoming, God of our lives. We begin by lifting up the joys and the sorrows of our own community. We think of those who are struggling with illness or with grief or with worry. We celebrate with those in our community, enjoying time with family, the great gifts of travel during these summer months. We pay attention to the goings forth, reaching out in courage, the newness of new things. And as we pay attention to the goings, we also pay attention to the returnings. Return to community, to relationship, and to the places and people who hold us. Give us wonder and courage and peace as we choose the path of wholehearted living. Amidst all of the other prayers of our hearts, of this community and the world, we hold a time of silent reflection. And I invite you to be still with me for a few moments. Amen. And blessed be. And I invite us to move from shared and spoken and silent meditation to sung meditation. I'm going to sing one of my favorites, number 18. And I think for this one, I'm going to invite people to, if they feel comfortable, to rise in body or in spirit as we sing What Wondrous Love, number 18 in the Gray Hymnal.
Oh my soul, what wondrous love is this, oh my soul. What wondrous love is this, that brings my heart such bliss, and takes away the pain of my soul, and takes away the pain of my soul. And I was sinking down, sinking down, sinking down, when I was sinking down, sinking down, when I was sinking down beneath my sorrow's ground, friends to me gathered round, oh my soul, friends to me gather round, oh my soul. Farewell, friends, I will sing, to love and to all friends I will sing. Love and to all friends, fair women, fair men, with thanks unto the end, I will sing, with thanks unto the end, I will sing.
Years ago, the Unitarian Universalist Association published a book called Testimony, The Transformative Power of Unitarian Universalism. This collection contained dozens of short essays of UU's writing about how our faith communities had changed their lives. The reading this morning comes from the first essay in this collection by Roberta Finkelstein. In 1981, I had finally come back to church after a 10-year absence. I was pregnant with our first child, and my husband Barry and I both felt the need to be connected to a community of faith, for all the same reasons that many people come to church initially, for the children. But we hadn't gotten involved at all, just came most Sundays, and didn't really know anybody. Just before the baby was due, I signed up to join a women's group, thinking that as a new mom, I would need some kind of supportive and adult outlet. And then the unthinkable happened. The baby was stillborn. Devastated doesn't even begin to describe how we felt on that bleak December day when we arrived to attend the memorial service for our son Brian, a service held in a sanctuary all decked out for Christmas. Present that day were some people that I didn't know, members of the women's group that I had not yet attended. They came, they brought food, they introduced themselves to me, assuring me that I was already a member of that group. That group became my lifeline in the following months. They were strangers who became friends, who welcomed me, cried with me, encouraged me, pushed me when I thought about giving up. My story is a story of pain and loss and gratitude and redemption. The church saved my life. All I know is that at those times when one of us needs a lifeline, the rest of us are ready to offer it. We may be clumsy, we may miss the mark the first time we throw it, but we keep trying, and we will gather more people around to help us rather than trying to do it alone. And in the end, we will fulfill our primary function, and we will save each other's lives over and over again. Sorry. We now take an offering that allows us to exercise our generosity of spirit, an offering that will support this self-supporting church and its many ministries. Your gifts will be most gratefully received. Please know that there is also a QR code on the back of the order of service for electronic gifts. Using your camera, the QR code will take you to the offertory page.
Whoever you are, whomever you love, however you came to be in this community, you are welcome here. You are welcome here. If you are searching, come on in. We're all on this journey that starts within. If you got a burden, come lay it on down. Raise up your voices as we gather around. Whoever you are, whomever you love, however you came to be in this community, you are welcome here. You are welcome here. You're welcome to sing along. If you are joyful or you're concerned, co-else come share your story. The chalice flame burns. If your heart is broken or you've been disowned, come join our circle and turn off your phones. Whoever you are, whomever you love, however you came to be in this community, you are welcome here. You are welcome here. If you are running, you got the right to seek sanctuary, guided by the light. If you hear that calling, come join the fight, marching for justice, candles lit in the night. Here we go. Whoever you are, whomever you love, however you came to be in this community, you are welcome here. that last line now. You are welcome here. A little louder. You are welcome here. All right, last time, big finish. Here we go. That you are welcome here.
So, in our religious education program here at church, we use a curriculum called Soul Matters. And Soul Matters was created by some enterprising UU religious professionals who came up with the idea of creating these packets of resource materials for religious education, small group ministry, and worship, and then selling those resources to congregations. Soul Matters follows a theme-based approach. That is, each month has a different theme, and the programming works around sort of exploring that theme in different facets. And our church actually purchases the Soul Matters religious education and small group ministry package. That's our Chalice Circles, uses the Soul Matter themes as well. And Marion asks me several times a year, she says, Tom, do you want us to upgrade to the full package, which also includes worship materials? And I always say, no, definitely not. I'm kind of stubborn, and I say, I want the freedom to come up with the worship topics myself. And I don't want anybody telling me what topics I should be talking about, and I definitely don't want to preach on the same one topic for an entire month. That's how I really feel. And I don't want sending them resources because I believe in reinventing the wheel. So anyways, earlier this summer, I was telling Marion, I said, I'm going to preach on belonging on August 7th. And she says to me, Tom, you know, belonging is the Soul Matter theme for September this year. And I said, Marion, I'm going to do it in August. I'm just being difficult. But can you send me the packet? And Marion said, the packet's not out yet. So, well, she didn't send it to me, so I don't have it yet. So anyways, this is just a long and convoluted way of saying that I'm going to talk about belonging this morning, and then next month, like there was going to be dozens and dozens and dozens of other Unitarian ministers whose churches purchase the worship packet, who will all be preaching on belonging. And I feel like I'm either ahead of the curve or I'm just kind of want to read all of them and see how they compare. So that's that. But how I chose belonging as a theme was this. I was thinking as I planned out August worship services that I would be away for July, and that when I came back, I really wanted to kind of begin coming back after having guests for July with saying a few things about church community that I know to be true. And last week, the sermon that I had planned to give was a church full of imperfect people, amen. And Bill Rote did a great job reading that sermon in his deep, rugged, handsome voice. And yes, I made him read that his voice was deep, rugged, and handsome, and he enjoyed that. And it's true that churches are full of imperfect people, ministers and congregants alike, and rather than being disappointed that this is the case, we might come to understand that's actually the point of churches. And more than that, we might understand that the greatest lessons we might learn, lessons of courage, compassion, and connection, are lessons that actually spring from our own imperfection and vulnerability. So that was last week. And this week's is really about another aspect of church, or maybe an aspect of that imperfection, the connection part, that I want to talk about and emphasize. I want to talk about belonging. And specifically, I want to talk about church as perhaps a place or a space or a practice or a community or an agent of belonging. It's a topic that's highly personal to me because it was, as a high school youth in the Unitarian Universalist church of my childhood, specifically in the high school youth group and in the larger culture of Unitarian Universalist youth conferences, that I first experienced a profound sense of belonging. I could try to put this into words. I experienced in these communities a feeling of unconditional affirmation and acceptance. I felt seen for who I was. I felt encouraged to be me. And I felt, through the beauty and grace of a loving and affirming community, this larger sense of blessing, call it original blessing, enter into my life. And it was interesting that even though I felt belonging when I was in the youth group room, that sense of belonging actually carried out beyond. Even when I left that group, it was a sense of belonging that sort of clung to me as I carried it out into the world and changed the way I lived beyond that circle. And that experience of belonging actually continues to animate me all these years later. I think of my ministry as more than anything else a response to that experience, that original experience of belonging that I found in a UU church. What's interesting about belonging is that the word itself has a commonplace meaning having to do with possession or even property. Please keep your belongings on you at all time. Remember to take your belongings when you exit the aircraft. When I was serving a previous ministry, the other Unitarian Universalist church in town used the same slogan every year for their annual pledge drive. You belong to the church and the church belongs to you. And to be honest, I never really liked this slogan because it seemed to me, while both of these things are true, you actually belong to the church in a very different way than the church belongs to you. And those ways shouldn't be kind of confused or conflated. Plus, the other thing was that this church didn't have good luck in meeting their goals for the pledge drive, which was kind of funny that they actually used the same slogan every year. I think you mix it up. But anyways, so when I'm talking about belonging, I'm certainly not talking about property, but perhaps there's a sense of being held, cared for. Think of that reading that Kathy read earlier. Roberta Finkelstein's heart-rending testimony of suffering, tragic loss, and then just being held by that community, by strangers, really. When she was at her most grief-stricken, raw, and vulnerable, the community gathered around her and just sort of held her as best they could. And so belonging can be that feeling of being held. But I actually think there's more to it than that. I want to share another story of belonging. It's a story about two people I met when I did my ministerial internship all those years ago. I visited a family in the church, Marty and Jana. Marty and Jana. He was a member of the board. She was chair of the religious education committee. There was nobody more active in the church than them. And I asked them, Marty and Jana, how'd you find the church? And they both let out a huge laugh, and I knew I was in for a great story. Jana had been raised as a strict fundamentalist Christian in a small town. Marty was born to a Jewish family in a northern city. Marty was the first non-Christian Jana ever met. And it was love at first sight. They married a short time after that. choosing each other, but in choosing each other, they felt like they were sort of choosing a world in which they would never quite belong. They always assumed that this would mean they would be kind of outcasts together, never really belonging in their respective families or anywhere. And then somehow they stumbled upon the Unitarian Universalist church. They said their first time in a UU church, they were actually a little too afraid to come on Sunday morning. But they heard about a Friday evening gathering, a solstice celebration. And they arrive to a solstice celebration that's led by the church's pagan group. They arrive, and here is what they see. Outside in the back lawn, people are barefoot and wearing flowing garments and plants in their hair and chanting and dancing around a bonfire. And it was at that moment, as they tell the story, that something melted in Jana and Marty. They felt in that moment a sense of belonging, a sense of larger belonging to the community, but also more than that, a belonging kind of in the world. It was more than belonging to the pagan group, more than belonging to the UU church. They felt this sense that they could belong in the world. And it was that experience of belonging that kind of animated a change in their life. How is it that we find this sense of belonging? How is it that we create, engender, or promote belonging in the world? When I complained to a member of the worship ministry that the belonging packet for the month of September was not out yet, a member of the worship ministry sent me an email about an interview that Krista Tippett did with the poet David White. David White is an author of a collection of poetry called A House for Belonging, a series of poems that explore the theme of belonging. And David White said in this interview, there are two different forms of belonging, I suppose. To have a sense of belonging in the outer world, where you feel a sense of freedom, comes from the ability to touch this deep inner foundation of aloneness. And if you can touch that sense of belonging, you can live with anyone. But then the member of the worship ministry wondered if there might not be three types of belonging. There's a type of belonging to a community, kind of social belonging, belonging to oneself, what the poet David White calls aloneness, which is an interesting word for it. And then the member of the worship ministry asked, perhaps there is a third kind, perhaps there is kind of a cosmic or existential belonging, where one feels a sense of belonging to nature, the earth, the universe, the cosmos, where one feels at home in the world. Maybe there's inner and outer belonging. Maybe there's three kinds: self, community, and wider world. Maybe there are even more that I haven't even considered. So how does one find that sense of belonging, and how is it that we create or promote belonging in the world? I think it's a mistake to think that belonging comes from sameness. In terms of social belonging, it's possible, even common, to find belonging in being around people who are like yourself. You can find belonging in a group for bereaved parents, or in a cancer support group, or in a beekeepers association, or in a meeting of ministers. Think of the group and you can find belonging there. But sometimes you can also find belonging with people who seem very different from you. A returning Peace Corps volunteer told me that it was on being away with the Peace Corps in a place just very different than any place she had ever known, that she felt this sense of belonging in both community and within herself. And isn't that the greatest aspiration of our church, right? To create a world in which there is beloved community and connection and belonging, even across the differences of culture and creed and class. So how is it that we create belonging? It certainly can't hurt for us to work on our own stuff, to work on whatever it is that keeps us separated from other people, whether that's our own sexism or our homophobia or our racism or our classism or our ableism. It's important to work on our own stuff so that we are better at creating communities that are places where all might find belonging. And it certainly can't hurt to approach each other with openness and acceptance. But then at the end, belonging is also a mystery. I'm not sure it's something that is manufacturable, that you could actually put in follow a formula and put in a bottle. It's something that's created by our openness. It's something that's created by our willingness to show up, to bring ourselves, to trust, and to reach out beyond the space of ourselves and to encounter one another. So you all can, a month from now, go on the web and search and see if my sermon on belonging holds up with what everybody's going to be preaching on, and feel like the kid in class who goes first. Let's end our service this morning with our closing hymn. It is number 1018 in the Teal hymnal. We're going to go to the Teal hymnal, the lively hymnal. And I invite you to rise in body or in spirit and sing, "Come and Go With Me."
Go with me to that land where I'm bound, where I'm bound. Go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land where I'm bound. There'll be freedom in that land. There'll be freedom in that land. There'll be freedom in that land where I'm bound, where I'm bound. There'll be freedom in that land. There'll be freedom in that land. There'll be freedom in that land where I'm bound. Justice in that land. There'll be justice in that land. There'll be justice in that land where I'm bound, where I'm bound. There'll be justice in that land. There'll be justice in that land. There'll be justice in that land where I'm bound. There'll be singing in that land. There'll be singing in that land. There'll be singing in that land where I'm bound, where I'm bound. There'll be singing in that land. There'll be singing in that land. There'll be singing in that
let's thank Eric Bannon and Kristen Hansberg for their beautiful music and for all those who made this service possible. Please remain standing in body or spirit. You'll find the words for extinguishing the chalice in your order of service. Please join me if you wish to do so. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Now it's time to sing Shalom. If you wish to hold hands during Shalom, extend your hands out like this, and if not, you may cross your hands over your heart. Shalom.